You ever feel like you're constantly doing life wrong, but deep down you kinda suspect you're not actually dumb, you're just being misunderstood? Maybe you overthink everything. You struggle to start simple tasks. You question your entire identity mid-conversation. You flinch when someone says, "Let's circle back," and yet behind all of that chaos, there's a pattern, a kind of quiet brilliance, one that nobody claps for because it doesn't look like genius on the outside. Today we're going to expose 9 ignored daily habits that are actually signs of high intelligence. Not book smarts, not test scores, but deep, layered, shadow in the back of the room type of intelligence. Let's begin. Number 9. The over-explanation reflex. You speak like you're preemptively on trial. You say sorry 13 times in an email that's only 4 sentences long. You give 3 reasons for every opinion, even when no one asked. You can't just say, "I don't want to go." You say, "I'm kinda tired and my cousin might need help moving and I have this thing tomorrow." Why? Because somewhere along the line, you started believing that your thoughts aren't valid unless they're perfectly justified, softened, and shrink-wrapped in disclaimers. It's not a social skill. It's a survival strategy. Your brain is constantly trying to outrun the threat of being misunderstood, which means you're playing chess in every conversation, anticipating objections, reading tone shifts, scanning for micro-expressions, preparing contingencies like you're negotiating a hostage situation. And here's the situation. People just think you're too nice or so accommodating, but you know it's not kindness. It's defense. It's intelligence with anxiety braided into it. You've learned that logic earns safety, that clarity earns belonging, and so you weaponize your own articulation like a lawyer trying to prove your right to exist. If that felt uncomfortably accurate, just wait until we talk about your obsession with unread notifications. Number 8. The apocalypse archive. You imagine every worst-case scenario before breakfast. Someone you care about is late replying, dead in a ditch. You feel a weird stomach cramp. Stage 4. Something. Google confirmed it. You're not a pessimist. You're a mental survivalist emotionally stockpiling for every possible disaster. Your imagination? It doesn't create dreams. It builds emergency exits. Most people fantasize about vacation. You fantasize about what you'd do if the world suddenly ended, your house burned down, or you had to disappear and start over with a new identity in Prague. It's not that you want these things to happen. It's that your brain won't let you relax until you've run the simulation, until you've pre-felt every possible outcome, so the pain won't surprise you. That's not broken. That's your hyper-intelligent nervous system trying to pre-buffer emotional impact. Unfortunately, it makes peace feel suspicious. You're constantly waiting for the shoe to drop even when you're barefoot. And yet, if the worst did happen, you'd be the calmest person in the room. You already survived it in your mind. Number 7. The alone but not lonely phenomenon. You crave solitude like it's oxygen. You disappear. People send text message to know whether you okay? You are. You're just in your cave. Your social battery doesn't just drain, it implodes. Conversations feel like performances. Chit-chat becomes white noise. You can literally feel your soul exiting your body at the phrase, "So what do you do?" So you vanish. Not out of depression, but out of necessity. Your alone time isn't passive. It's processing time, integration time, where your brain files the last 72 hours of input and your nervous system detoxes from all the secondhand emotion it soaked up. And when you're finally alone, like truly alone, your thoughts start to bloom. You connect dots others don't even notice. You relive conversations with directors' commentary. You catch yourself creating entire dialogues between imaginary people, and suddenly you're laughing to yourself at 2 a.m. with a notebook full of scribbles that make perfect sense to no one but you. That's not isolation. That's your intellect exhaling. The world mistakes it for antisocial behavior, but the truth is, solitude is where your intelligence speaks loudest. Number 6. The existential side quest. You randomly reevaluate your entire life at 2:37 p.m. You'll be reaching for your toothbrush and suddenly think, what's the point of anything? You'll be walking to the store and whisper to yourself, is any of this even real? You're not in crisis. You're just on a mental side quest, one where the main villain is meaninglessness and your only weapon is introspection. You question everything. Why do I work here? Why do we say bless you when someone sneezes? Why do I feel obligated to smile when I'm not okay? And sometimes, this spirals. You get stuck in loops. You try to answer questions that don't have answers. You accidentally detach from your own life like a character in a movie watching themselves go through the motions. It's not laziness. It's not being too deep. It's the shadow cost of awareness, of thinking so far past the surface that the surface stops feeling real. You aren't numb. You're overwhelmed by the weight of your own consciousness. You're asking the questions most people don't ask until it's too late. Number 5. The high-functioning collapse. You seem fine right up until you're not. You handle everything. You remember birthdays. You follow up on texts. You meet deadlines like a soldier. People call you reliable, responsible, emotionally stable. And then without warning, you crash. The smallest thing tips you over. You spiral, cry over the wrong type of rice, or stare at a wall for 3 hours and call it rest. This isn't inconsistency, this is compression, because while everyone sees your function, they don't see the emotional weight behind it, the constant regulation, the unspoken battles you win just to get out of bed. Your intelligence isn't in how together you look. It's in how long you keep showing up while falling apart in secret. You don't ask for help because you don't want to burden anyone, and so you become your own emergency contact. But even machines need power. Your breakdowns don't mean you're weak. They mean you've been too strong for too long without anyone noticing. Number 4. The selective empathy filter. You feel too much until you don't. You tear up over a stranger's story, but go cold in your own relationships. You care deeply about injustice but struggle to return a friend's call. You either feel everything or nothing. It's not apathy, it's bandwidth triage. Your emotional world is like an overloaded circuit board. Too many inputs, too many signals, too much noise. So your mind prioritizes, blocks some things out, zeroes in on others, and it makes you look inconsistent. One moment you're the heart of the group, the next you're a ghost. This doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're a sponge who's learned to stop absorbing every drop. Because feeling everything all the time is unsustainable, especially when you're the one doing the emotional labor in every relationship. You're not cold, you're calibrated, you're not heartless, you're just tired of bleeding for people who never noticed you were cut. Number 3. The constant inner debate club. You argue with yourself more than anyone else. You don't just make decisions, you hold internal hearings. You'll spend 20 minutes deciding whether to reply LOL or LMAO because each one feels different. You'll rehearse conversations that may never happen, rewrite texts 6 times, reread them 8 more, because your mind isn't quiet. It's a debate stage. One part of you is logical, another is emotional, another is fearful, and another is narrating all of this, like some Greek chorus with performance anxiety. And yet, through this chaos, you usually arrive at insight. You challenge your own biases. You examine your intentions. You don't trust your first thought, because you know how layered your psyche really is. This can be exhausting. People tell you you're overthinking, but really you're just thinking more deeply than they're used to. Your internal world is complex, so your decisions aren't simple. That's not a flaw, that's a feature. Number 2. The burnout curator. You're amazing at everything until you're not. You take on new skills like a sponge. You're a fast learner, a quiet observer, and a hidden genius in random areas no one asked for, like map memory or emotional decoding or perfectly timing microwave popcorn. But your talent is a double-edged sword, because when you're good at everything, people expect everything. You become the go-to, the fixer, the one who just gets it. And soon, what once felt like fun becomes performance. Your curiosity curdles into pressure. Your interest turns into obligation. Your gift becomes a job. So you burn out. Not visibly, quietly. You ghost. You pull away. You lose interest in the thing you used to love. Not because you're flaky, but because your mind's on fire from the weight of expectation. And when you stop showing up, people say you're wasting your potential. But no one talks about how potential can become a prison. Number 1. The sacred discomfort detector. SDD. You can't pretend you're fine when you're not. You've tried. You've smiled through meetings. You've nodded through fake conversations. You've laughed at the right moments. But your body betrays you. Your face twitches. Your chest tightens. Your gut screams. You're not good at lying to yourself or others because your intelligence is emotional, not performative. You pick up on unspoken tension like radar. You sense when someone's words don't match their energy. You know when you're out of alignment even when there's no reason to be. So you seek truth even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. You don't chase comfort, you chase clarity, which means you'll walk away from people, jobs, or identities that no longer feel honest, even if it breaks your heart, even if no one else understands, because something inside you, some raw, wild wisdom, knows this. The longer you ignore discomfort, the more it costs you later. So tell me, how many of these felt like someone just cracked open your skull and read your internal dialogue like a script? If it felt too real, that's not an accident. You've been navigating the world with a brain that sees too much, feels too deeply, and processes too fast for most environments. That's not weakness, that's intelligence. Messy, unfiltered, often misunderstood. But real. You're not lazy, you're layered. You're not broken, you're built differently. And maybe, just maybe, the more you understand these habits, the less you'll feel like hiding them. Let them be seen. This channel is a space for dangerous thoughts made understandable. For shadow work with a smirk, which of these hit a little too close to home? Tell me in the comments or don't if you wish. You can just think it really loudly. I'll hear it. And if you want more dark, self-awareness content that helps you feel less alone in your overthinking, you know what to do. Subscribe, I'll be here in the next video, probably overanalyzing something. Stay sharp and stay weird.